Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Sunless Skies for a momentous day. We are finally, today, I mean it, seeing the Blue Kingdom. So, with the Signalman's Omnibus to guide us, we actually have enough stats now that we can afford to keep our Retronaut equipped while having our good plating on board, so I think we're ready. There's nothing else we really need to do. Also, because we now have enough stats to make this work, we do not need to, there's no longer any mechanical incentive for us to let one of the suitors literally crawl inside the skin of the princess and live there, which means we are definitely just destroying this thing. And honestly, I'm pretty happy about that. I think the idea that one of the suitors wants to crawl inside her and make a new life there is way more upsetting to Sister Patel than the shed skin crawling around the locomotive itself. So I'm really glad that we'll be able to get all three of these things off of our damn train. It's a living, slithering skin suit of a beguiling princess. No, absolutely not. Despite the wailing of two suitors, you refuse their offers. When they realize you're serious, they're bereft, withdrawing entirely from all contact. They leave the locomotive at the next port without saying a word, clearly believing they have no future. This leaves you the problem of how to dispose of the skin. With a match and paraffin, you attempt to burn the skin, but sadly it proves resistant to such brute methods. You need something better. The princess's previous skin was kept safely at the prison of Piranesi. Perhaps they can look after this one too, and we could take the princess's old skin back there as well, because I'm pretty sure it's still sitting in her cabin alongside the new one. Here's the thing, we're not going to Piranesi right now. If we end up resolving this plotline, or if we end up resolving our ambition without finishing this plotline, so be it, but I swore to you and to myself, nothing will keep us from the Blue Kingdom today. We have 9 barrels of fuel, 10 crates of supplies, a couple barrels of ours, and we are going. It is time. So we just need to loop around here. Pretty simple. Man, we haven't been back in that area in a very, very long time. It's a long time in terms of hours of actual gameplay, and it's an even longer time in terms of real time. It's kind of crazy to think how close to it we've been, how many times since. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm a little nervous, but I feel like we're pretty well outfitted. We have a powerful train, we have 128 hull, we have really good weapons, and weapons that I now feel like I have a good handle on using. You know, we shouldn't get caught off guard by unfamiliar explosives. I do kind of wish that we had figured out the Scornfluke weapon, but that can be a third character kind of problem. And we gotta leave something to do with the final character, right? I just say though, I'm getting to feel like we have pretty thoroughly plumbed these first 3 areas. I ended up getting a lot more out of this game than I thought I would. In a whole bunch of different ways, actually. Alright, let's see how this relay... I mean, we know this relay works, right? Then again, the relay in Eleutheria, the one that we come through, only works from one side. I assume this one's totally functional, though. It's all lit up. Alright, what do they want here? A stone edifice. Scintillant with sigils. Don't worry, it's not an omen. Is encased in a contrivance of steel and brass. Hey, look, it's another Sing Jenkins relay. We know this stuff. This one leads to the Blue Kingdom, one of the domains of the dead. It is little used. London only has a single, faltering embassy there. Thanks to the lack of traffic, many London officials consider this a cushy post. Those stationed here are in good favor with the department. Alright, let us submit the paperwork for a travel permit. You'll need references of acceptable character, and of course there is a processing fee. Once you have a permit, it'll get passed down and everything. And we certainly have enough ministry-stamped paperwork on board. Hopefully they won't see the big stack of ministry-stamped paperwork and have any questions about how we got it. The official considers you from behind his desk at the relay gate. A thoughtful nod. Well, we must be cautious, for the Empire's safety. He appraises you. We need to be certain you're the right sort of captain. He picks up the coin purse you've placed on the counter and considers its heft. Well, clearly you are. He bears a tobacco-tinted smile as he prepares your permit. The paper is white as lamb's wool and thick enough to make an undignified wobbling noise when he hands it over. Okay, that was remarkably easy. Travel to the Blue Kingdom, second class. Turns out I brought my own barrels of ours. Although, we can use otherworldly artifacts to travel first class. You know, these things bring us nothing but misery anyway. Sure, I am excited to exchange these as currency. These artifacts might have originated in the Blue Kingdom. As part of its concord with London, the Relay's officials are obliged to accept them for passage into the kingdom. Huh, is that where they're from? I don't think we've ever traveled first class before. The official will not touch the artifact himself. Horrible thing. He presses a button. An underling scurries in to take it away in a brass box. The relay machinery grinds and stirs. The steam vents. The sigils of the edifice burn with sullen fire. A force like a great hand seizes your engine. The passage is less pleasant than you had hoped. A crewman swears he saw something vast stirring in the sky's deeps, and raves about a many-eyed burrower to any who will listen. Yeah, I know all about the many-eyed burrower. You're not giving me any new information. Okay, traveling first class actually reduces your terror. Or I guess it might just be that this relay reduces your terror? That would be weird, though. Because usually when we travel between the other ones, we gain terror, right? It's kind of strange that you can travel first class with an otherworldly artifact when 2 barrels of ours, which is like over 100 sovereigns worth of stuff, only gets you second class. Otherworldly artifacts don't seem to be terribly useful, and they're really easy to come by. Like, you almost can't help but acquire a ton of them. I guess it's just because it makes sense from a storyline perspective. Not all decisions must be mechanically driven, I suppose. Okay, I cannot read this text. Something about being untouched by the Sapphire King's light. Alright, well, I think the smart thing to do is probably just to head generally north. We have enough crates of supplies that we can afford to be pretty aggressive with our scout. Oh hey look, there are scribe spinsters here. Turns out it's not going to be totally unfamiliar. Do you think he's actually playing the drums? Repentant Devil considers the toll tower. Well, apparently we've discovered a toll tower. There's a thing right here. Also, there's another station over there, and something. This Ratronaut's pretty good at his job. Oh, Sky Barnet. Yeah, we have a couple of things to do here. I mean, this place so far... I know, I'm jinxing myself, if you believe in that. But so far, this place doesn't seem all that scary. It's, like, not nearly as intimidating as Eleutheria was right away. A constant stream of dead spirits enters the Blue Kingdom through the base of the tower. Once, there was a manned toll gate, but the fees have become more complicated, and the toll window is closed now. Well, this is where our man wanted to go here. It is what the son of the Blue Kingdom wishes, after all. And this is what he wants. Alright. His goodbye is terse, but not cold. Yeah, at this point, what we've been through together, I should hope not. There is a delicate and complex intake procedure for persons wishing to engage in the service of the Blue Kingdom, even, it appears, when they have expressly been sent for. The last you see of the Repentant Devil, he is being weighed in a giant scale, and there is a crocodile in the other pan. As for you, there is a reward for bringing in the Repentant Devil, a grand and ornate reward, suitable to the dignity of your benefactor. It sings from inside the sack. The Repentant Devil has become your most useful contact at Sky Barnet, and we got ourselves a captivating treasure. It does not seem to be very easy to come by these. You don't need them very much, but they're hard to find. Alright, the Bleak Industrialist in Lustrum asked us to find his old lover? Wife? I don't remember exactly what the deal was. A very, very long time ago, so let's take that first. The supercilious attaché is a very busy man, apparently, but when you mention the Bleak Industrialist's name, his secretary suddenly waves you through. You find the attaché hunched at his desk, halfway through a mackerel sandwich. The bureaucracy here is utterly intractable, he moans. I tried all the official channels, honestly. I filled forms until my hands bled, but they won't even tell me where she is. It's no use anyway. The dead can't go back. Okay, well... You sound like a person who gives up a lot. I'm not going to give up just yet. A spirit is sent first to the White Well for judgment at the stone-faced court, explains the attaché. If they are officially declared dead, they move on to Death's Door. From there, well, nobody knows. I have something that may help your search if you insist on persisting. He retrieves a wax tablet from his drawer and pushes it across the desk. It declares the bearer is officially dead. Everything here runs on spit and paperwork, you see. I went to a lot of trouble to get a hold of this, so tell the industrialist that my debt is paid. Okay. So wait, the idea here is that I'm now officially dead? Is that the idea? Are we going to have trouble interacting with the bureaucracy if I'm technically alive? Kind of a weird thing to just declare about a person. The entry hall runs through the toll tower, through gates that are never closed. The hall is full of passing spirits, few of them human. A masked warhorse, a masked dolphin, swimming easily in the ghost of an ocean. A creature with 10-foot wings, which would certainly be more frightening if it showed its true face. Is this the same thing that, all of the misters are, maybe? No one speaks, and there are no footfalls, only a faint susurration like the drift of leaves. There are stairs up and down, and less ordinary means of entry. A masked orangutan just descended a pole to the floor below. Is that the first one of those we've seen? Have we seen an orangutan out in the skies? That might be a real new experience for Sister Patel. And honestly, we've seen some pretty wild stuff out here, but if you've never seen an orangutan before, they're pretty weird. I wonder how that hit her. Alongside the grand entrance is the marketplace of litigators, for all who need companionship and guidance in their encounter with the Blue Kingdom. Downstairs, prominent devils live, and in the upper floor of the toll tower is the Embassy of Albion. Well, I guess let's start by visiting the devils, since we presumably have a good friend here. Below the marketplace of litigators are the homes of the devils who prefer to live in the toll tower. The staircase winds ever downward, the brass railing growing hotter as you descend. We can visit our buddy here. This provides 150 sovereigns for the uncanny specimen and otherworldly artifact. He pays a good price in sovereigns for his research materials. Okay, well, I don't actually need research or sovereigns right now, so I guess we'll skip out on that for the moment. I guess he doesn't have anything useful to tell us. Alright, let's visit the litigators and resident devils that have set up their stalls among the crowd heading into the Blue Kingdom. Maybe we can learn something here. Don't go alone. Hire a psychopomp, advises a banner in indigo lettering. A masked woman is negotiating at the first booth, offering 2 silver coins and a lock of hair. Let's first question a litigator about the Blue Kingdom. I feel like we have no idea what we're getting into here. It would be a good idea for us to change that. You ought to be marked anti-deceased, explains the litigator bluntly. You know what that means, of course. Have a seat. This consultation is free of charge for the first 12 hours. Hey, listen, I have paperwork right here that says that I am not, in fact, anti-anything anymore. Go to the White Well north-northwest of Skybarnet to pursue your anti-deceased status. Well, I don't think we want to do that, necessarily. A litigator's assistant has offered you a pillow on the stone floor and prepared you a cup of heated oxblood. Oh, lovely. In front of you is a wax tablet which offers a menu of suitable questions, and which is entitled Liturgy of Consultation, Lesser Rite. Okay. Well, I mean, I know what anti-deceased status is. I guess we probably have questions about this, though. More like, less what is it and more what does it do? The anti-deceased are those who, and here the assistant coughs significantly, come to the Blue Kingdom ahead of their time, when they have not yet passed away. The kingdom does permit to the anti-deceased a certain limited access to its functions, but one will always be something of a curiosity. The anti-deceased in the Blue Kingdom must watch out for the perfection, the blue logoi, who punish aberrations and violations of the normal order. We have to interact with some logoi somehow for some reason. Was it part of an officer story? There's something about 3 of them, if I remember. We do have to go to the White Well for this cat. Here, this, yes. You must first conquer 3 colors of Logoi and take their flames. Okay. Well, then I guess I'm not too worried about the perfection, because we have to fight some no matter what. What was I supposed to do with the Abstemious Devil? Oh, that's right. He wanted to go back to Albion. We're not going back to Albion. Okay. Yeah. Well, I certainly have many more questions. What is ephemera status? Apparently there's an awful lot of statuses one might hold. The ephemera are the many, many dead who have come to the Blue Kingdom to enter by death's door. They are ephemera only until they pass through, and then... but it is forbidden to speak of that higher mystery. The assistant interrupts the liturgical explanation in order to ring a bell 3 times and to kiss a branch of antlers wreathed in honeysuckle. The ephemera are not entirely free of troubles, however. It may take time to proceed through death's door, and while they remain outside, they are harried by the gold Logoi, in order to inspire them to better and wiser behavior. So I'm assuming death's door is a dock we'll be able to visit, and now we know that the gold Logoi are around there. What is yoked status? That sounds like a bad time. Yoked spirits are those bound to the service of the Blue Kingdom. They serve its Logoi and its courts, carry objects, and convey souls. Those who are yoked must guard against the red Logoi, the propriety, who protect the kingdom from its own servants, and make sure that no one is overly seen or excessively heard. Okay, I think it's getting real close to time to ask this, but I suppose we may as well finish the status questions. To be invisible is to have no status. Those who are invisible have not yet been processed by the Blue Kingdom. This is the worst of outcomes. Every one of the Logoi is an enemy to the Invisibles. Okay, so I guess it's not that big of a deal for us to be that for the moment. What exactly are these? What are we talking about here? The Logoi are words spoken by the Sapphired King. They are decrees. They are statements about how the world should be. They are giant wheels of spinning fire. Okay. This is another one of those things where once upon a time I would have thought that we might be talking in poetics here. Now, I fully expect to run into a bunch of wheels of spinning fire that are definitely also words. May I take some notes? This consultation provides ample matter for a port report. You copy what you hear, but the liturgy is repetitious, and you are soon embellishing it with stories of invented shades and ruined monuments to past empires. Yeah, so far the thing about this place is that it seems very mundane. Except for the great wheels of fire that we've been told about. Okay, well I guess let's swing by the embassy. Albion's no huge fan of us, but maybe they'll still have work to do. The top 3 floors of the tower belong to the Embassy of Albion. The visitor climbs 10 flights of amber stairs, guarded by spirits and devils, and arrives in a modest-sized parlor decorated with a pink floral carpet and a painting of the Empress. The secretary of the embassy works in the neat half of the office. The disordered half is the domain of the cultural attaché. Well, we can deliver this port report, I suppose. For each report, the secretary completes an intake form noting the subject of the report and a quality metric based on the number of objective details included. Maps and sketches add to the quality metric. Adverbs incur a penalty. Yeah, fair enough. Afterwards, she places each report in a labeled drawer and passes you a receipt and a sack of sovereigns. 2 minutes later, the cultural attaché is kneeling beside the drawer, scattering sheets on the floor around him. Oh, that's a fine detail. What rot. This will need a great deal more color. The secretary does not have sufficient status to complain, so she does not. We have 1 gratitude of the Embassy of Albion. Okay, so the reward for filing port reports here is very similar to the reward for doing it everywhere else. We could seek an appointment with the ambassador. You'll have to convince the secretary that you have an appointment already, which it turns out is very, very easy for us indeed. If there's one thing Sister Patel is good at, it's convincing people of things that are not true. Hearts, being our weak point, we're not so good at convincing people of things that are true, unfortunately. When you arrive, the ambassador is dressing a wound on her arm. My predecessor was afraid to leave the toll tower, she remarks as you come in. He hardly saw any of the Blue Kingdom. I'm determined not to duplicate his errors. But, as you see, there are some costs to the more assertive approach. The cuts on her arm are clean and shallow. They look like characters in an unfamiliar alphabet. Oh, I don't know, it's probably not that unfamiliar at this point. An encounter with the Logoi, she says. And no, I don't know what it's supposed to mean. Sit, what do you want from me? Nothing terribly important. The ambassador is a tall, silver-haired woman. She is draped in medals and commendations, but none of these are recent. Piled in front of the ambassador is a stack of demands, all marked urgent, pertaining to payments due soon, past due, and in their final notice period. Okay, what exactly is the issue you're having? Because listen, if it's money, I can help with money. There is, the ambassador admits, a small matter. The embassy's place in the toll tower is leased by permission of the Blue Kingdom. Observe the lease, she says, pushing a document across the table toward you. It says that we are entitled to remain here for 3 viewings of the sun. The devils take this to refer to days by the calendar, and they are having fees levied against us. But I argue that I haven't seen the judgment of the Blue Kingdom even once, so the lease is nowhere near complete. She watches expectantly to see whether you still want to be involved. Okay, where could we... Listen, if the deal here is that we gotta go talk to some devils, I'm pretty good at that. I'm really familiar with devils at this point. She hasn't done it herself, but perhaps she knows where we could begin renegotiating the lease. Well, the House of Days will have to give a ruling, the ambassador says. They do intake for humans at the Court of Apes. They've never allowed me further than that, but perhaps you will be more fortunate. We need to visit the Court of Apes at the House of Days. All right. On it. I am doing the thing. Not because I particularly care about the Embassy of Albion, but because it is useful to have people owe you a favor. So I guess we're done here, then. Alright, what do they have? They have... it looks like not anything new. Oh, this is new. We definitely cannot use this. But yeah, 16 armor and a point of assaying is a pretty good use of an armor slot. The Saint Fire is definitely not new. The adjustable infirmary, I think, might be new, but it doesn't matter. Veils at 75 plus. Where are we at on our veils right now? Right now I'm showing 69. We don't have a ton of options here. Do we need all 10 of the iron that we're getting from this guy? Right now we're at 78, so yeah, we do, in fact. We can't really afford to switch our officers at all. So 75 veils is a little out of the question. Also, this would have to be mounted in the large weapon slot, and we currently are using that. The turret. Fuel and petrichor, the food of the dead. It is pale as the ghost of a moon, sweeter than spun sugar, and crumbles in your mouth like plaster of Paris. I wonder how many people there are who know exactly what that experience is like. So this is just supplies. They're like 50% more expensive than normal supplies, but I don't think it's going to be too hard for us to continue to afford it. And of course we have access to all of our stuff here, so we can make a bunch of money. How much am I sailing around with right now? 973. Let's liquidate some stuff real quick here. At the turret. So I'd like to have a few thousand on hand, just in case we run into something that wants us to have a bunch of sovereigns. We definitely have some things that we could afford to sell off. We can almost certainly afford to go down to 30 of some things. I can't imagine that leaving us too low to fulfill anything. And we could probably even come down a little bit more. Let's go down to, like... It's also really easy for us to acquire bronzewood if we just go back out to the Reach. There we go. A little bit of walking around money, you know? And here at the Bazaar, an unnamed individual at the Forge of Souls requires shipments of bottled souls. They only need ones of meager quality. 5 jumbles should be sufficient. In the Blue Kingdom, it's usually exceptional souls that are in demand for use as gifts or bribes. What does someone want with so many unremarkable specimens? Well, not really my business. So east-northeast of Skybarnet. And you have received a furtive request via your contacts in the underworld, specifically the criminal underworld, which it pays to be clear about in the Blue Kingdom. Someone waiting at the White Well wants to buy up 7 panes of stained glass. Their reasons are undisclosed. Okay, do we have that? I totally do. I guess we could bank our hours for the moment. Wow, this is, for some reason, a very unresponsive process. There we go. And jumbles of undistinguished souls. They said 5, right? Oh my god, that's very unresponsive. Okay. So, east, northeast of Sky Barnet and northwest of Sky Barnet. And we need to go to the White Well anyway. I've already forgotten. We were supposed to go to the White Well to... yeah, seek our anti-deceased status, right? I suppose we ought to at least check. North, northwest. Who knows? Maybe it's that. There's something marked out over there, but that'll... if it's lootable, it'll just go away, and if it's not, then it'll still be there when we finish hitting the White Well, and if it's lootable, I sort of don't care about it, so... let's pursue this first. Is this something I can sail under? Yes, it is. Where they were answered. Yeah, so far, this place doesn't look all that terrifying. I mean, we're barely off the threshold yet. This is not really where I want to be. A garden in glory is kept here, the preserve of the daughter of the sun. You enter Evelyn's Wood, a garden where the dead are permitted to linger. Evelyn is presumably the daughter. Oh, this is the House of Days. Okay. Solid landing. Well, we do have business here. The house is lit from nowhere in the color of dawn. It has no windows anywhere in its great facade, only colonnades and stone. It gives the impression of having been extended again and again, portions of the building at different heights with different roofs. The antechamber of the Pansecretus? Maybe? Pansecretus. One may see the Pansecretus at any time. He appears as a sigil of flame at the heart of the House of Days. The same sigil is reflected in the polished stone. It is written at the head of the page, in every appointment book of the house. It is spoken as greeting and parting by the servants of the house. To be noticed by the Pansecretus, however, requires effort and prior arrangement. We could claim our right to the audience with Testaments of the Feather, and we'd have to have some status, and also it wants... oh, you still have your liver. I was going to say, also it wants amber? Really? Hey, why is it the case that I might lose my liver? That's curious. Alright, well let's listen to what the people around here are saying about the Pansecretus, because I'm not 1000% clear on its nature just yet. His nature, I guess? Each time you hear the name, it conveys new meanings to you. Pansecretus is a logos, that would be the singular of logoi, a word that was spoken by the westernmost king and has echoed ever since. Depending on your translator, the Pansecretus's meaning may be rendered as any of these phrases: eternal dominion, everything in its place, or no drop-in meetings permitted. The sigil is painted in nectar on the ceiling of the Court of Hummingbirds for the better understanding of the winged spirits. In the Court of Whales, it is expressed in bass song probably. You know, I said bass because whales and fish, but I'm sure it's bass. In the Court of Bloodhounds, it is translated, almost accurately, as a scent of vetiver and sandalwood. Okay, that was not super useful to us. I'm curious about the Court of Hummingbirds, though. We could simply walk boldly into its presence, if we had status, but failing to impress ourselves upon it would strip us of our status, which seems like a dangerous thing, and we're not really set up for that. Okay, we're going to have to acquire some things before we're ready to meet with the Pansecretus, which is a word that presumably will have a conversation with us. Alright, what's happening on the porch? The House of Days is a palace so large that it is hard to see both ends of the facade. The staircase up is many stories tall and ballrooms wide. There is only one door. Spirits go in briskly, but those who come out are slower, not always sure where to go next. A masked rubbery spirit sits on the steps, holding an application tablet smeared in yellowish fluid. Application denied, no right of repeal. The door is guarded by two wheels of light, living and resplendent. They are not quite too bright to look at. Close, though. They're not going to let us in, right? I guess we should try. One of the wheels circles you. You have no shadow illuminated like this. The fact strikes you as obscurely shameful. You are invisible, says the wheel, though the language it uses is a single word, which is its own name, and which you comprehend without translation. You must present yourself to the proper authorities and be given a status in the Blue Kingdom. A masked chimpanzee passes you, snickering. It has been marked with a seal that declares it ephemera. Okay, well, I'll come back. Let's lurk near the entrance. I doubt someone will tell me what lies inside, but maybe we could overhear something. Once upon a time, the House of Days was only one court, with the Pansocratus inside. They built new courts each time a new need was found. Now, several floors of the House of Days are too low-ceilinged for a human to enter, and others are scaled for giants. 2 sections of the house are underwater, and one burns without respite, catering to the spirits of those born in volcanoes. These surface differences do not signify. Every court is essentially alike, a place to wait, a place to fill forms, a collection of weighing and measuring devices, a window with a secretary. It feels a little bit like... Have you ever seen Beetlejuice? There's a scene in Beetlejuice. Probably you immediately know what I'm talking about. Well, it's not exactly terrifying. There are a lot more apes and monkeys here than we've seen in the rest of the game, so that's weird. Let's mingle in the crowds, I guess. You notice that one of the spirits of the dead is lying and convulsing in the gutter. Its porcelain mask is cracked. The other spirits walk swiftly by, not even pausing to glance in its direction. Noticing your concern, a bureaucrat stops beside you. A voice issues from the jar tucked under its arm. It has a disease of the soul, explains the jar hollowly. Far rarer than any disease of mind or body, and more difficult to treat. The poor thing will likely unravel soon. Nothing to be done unless you have something that might strengthen it. We could offer a mystery to keep it rooted to the world. You will not be rewarded for this kindness, we are told explicitly beforehand. I do have 10 searing enigmas. You know what? Reward or not, I feel like we should do something. As your words sink in, the spirit's unraveling form coalesces. Its writhing ceases. It lies inert in the gutter, contemplating what you have said. It'll survive a little longer now, says the voice from the bureaucrat's jar. The bureaucrat lifts the deceased spirit up and props it against the wall. Maybe even long enough to pass through the door with a bit of luck. Well done. Wow. I permanently gained a point of mirrors, and also 5 terror. I was told I would not be rewarded. The game just openly lied to me. Frankly, I feel betrayed. Okay, we cannot attempt to mingle in the crowd again. Yeah, a permanent gain in stats is certainly an interesting thing. Alright, well, I guess we're done here then. Didn't we have something that needed to be done at the House of Days? This is where... Yeah. This is where we need to renegotiate the contract. We just have to get a status first. So that was the station that the Ratronaut found. Let's undock here. Fire off our Ratronaut again. And I mean, that thing on the map hasn't faded away. So it might be something meaningful. Wow, also the Ratronaut has a very impressive range. Yeah, let's go see what's out here on the edge of space. Or the edge of this space, at least. So, I mean... Oh, really? Okay. I thought it was going to be something a little bit more permanent and meaningful. So that Scribe Spinster doesn't seem to be aggressive. I mean, it hasn't really been close enough to us. Maybe it just didn't notice us. But it is weird, right? That it... Oh, some kind of train. What are you? Jesus. Okay, that's got to be a Logos. Oh, Christ. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a lot of projectiles and stuff. We haven't actually taken any damage yet. It's worth noting. So these are Spirifer engines. They are bad news, it looks like. Oh wow, they hit hard. Presumably this does too. Yep, okay, alright. I'm just gonna try to leave now, is what I'm gonna do. I have suffered a critical hit. We've taken some real damage. Okay, we need to kill 3 of these. You know, we have no idea if it's actually hard to fight, though, because we're not exactly getting a fair one-on-one combat with those 2 Spirifer engines nearby. Let's just bounce for Sky Barnet, because Sky Barnet will repair our engine, and we're going to have to come back some other time, apparently. It's really pursuing, huh? Okay, we just don't want to get terribly close to the Scribe Spinster. I'm not worried about it killing me. Seems like the Logos doesn't really give up. Its weapon's pretty short-ranged. Maybe we can take it. Oh, I did explode my projectile behind it there and propel it towards us, which is perhaps unwise. I'll tell you what, I'm real glad that I have a long-range weapon here. Once again, propelling it toward me. Dodge, just dodge really hard. Yeah, it looks like it's not going to give up, and we're way too close to it now. Fortunately, the other thing we're close to is Sky Barnet itself. So, if we just... Okay, it seems to have a pretty hard time shooting us if we're not flying directly away from it. Let's try to dock and repair. Like that. And see if it'll stay here and fight us. Because if we can just keep repairing over and over again... Oh boy. I guess I should have guessed that it wasn't going to be quite this simple. You have some sway at the embassy. Trade a point of gratitude to repair your engine. I wonder if it's... Okay, maybe we don't want to do this. Maybe what I want to do is fight this thing a little bit more. Okay. There we go. Because we don't know how much it repairs, and if it's a full repair, we want to go ahead and take as much damage as possible before we get into it. I don't think I hit him there. Kind of hard to tell with these enemies who don't have animations. Okay, we're just going to go through the Sky Barnet dock real quick. Yeah, if he stays away from us, we have a huge advantage. And if we actually hit him dead on with the projectiles, then we can keep him far away. Did it fall asleep? I think it might be giving off more red inky light than before. I mean, it always sort of looks like it's bleeding. Kind of hard to know if we're getting the job done here. It is entirely possible that I am not dealing any damage at all. I meant to detonate the projectile, but apparently it actually hit the Logos right before I hit the button. Okay, we need to curve around. Well, I think that was a pretty narrow miss. If I had been able to see him, we could have gotten a good detonation off there. Yeah, hard to know for sure if we're dealing damage. Because I am, at this point, like, I'm basically shooting an abstract concept with missiles, and in the Sunless Skies, that totally could be a process that would work. But it's not guaranteed to be a process that would work. It makes noise when we shoot it. It clearly does not like the shooting. And that was a pretty good lead. Okay, I need to put a little bit of distance between me and him. Maybe I should have just gone through the dock. You know what? I will turn around. Because the dock does provide us with cover from the bottom side, and he seems to get a little confused when we use it as cover. Whatever our critical damage was, it hasn't flared up. It hasn't, like, cost us anything yet. I'm hoping it won't. Boy, maneuverable. Hey, I think I killed it. Okay, yeah, that wasn't so bad without the other locomotives around to make it worse. A wheel of living flame, a commandment of the westernmost king's highest law, an utterance of fire and glory. This logos was of the order of propriety. The propriety regulate the officials of the eternal bureaucracy. They visit judgment upon any dead of the yoked caste, the lowliest of the kingdom's servitors, who permit themselves to be seen or heard, or who abandon their duties. It is not dead, only diminished. It will rekindle in time, at which point it would be advisable to be far away. Yeah, that makes sense. We could take it on board and use it as fuel. We could celebrate our victory, but obviously we have a very important thing to do here. Recover a spark with which to open the Arbiter's vault. Her vault requires 3 colors of language fire. Blood froths from the Red Knight's visor as he dies. You sheath your blade. No. You blink away the visions, and send a team of stokers with long-handled lamps to recover a spark of the Logos' living flame. Okay, red. We got red. So, my understanding here, and maybe I've got this wrong, is that once we have a status, only one type of Logos will attack us. I have to imagine we'll be able to start stuff with them on our own. So it probably makes sense for us to be pretty aggressive about getting a status. I think we need one as soon as possible. Alright, I was just trying to make sure, see if we could actually get through here. Looks like we cannot. So, we'll go up toward that, I guess? Up toward that question mark up there. That is the direction of the White Well. And, since nothing bad has ever happened to us at a well, an unexploded shell. An engineer has made an alarming discovery. An undetonated shell from a recent battle has penetrated your hull and lodged in a cavity under the plating. It's still there, buried in a nest of pipes. I can disarm this, probably. I am likely to be able to disarm this. A steady hand and nerves of steel. I don't know if I've ever read a better description of Sister Patel. In the end, you have to cut through a section of piping to clear the way. The shell begins to emit a sizzling noise. Hurrying it to an exterior hatch, you fling it out. It spins away into the mists. You wait for several long moments, but there is no detonation. A dud. Okay, that's not such a bad cost. I think I'm going to take the repair. My thinking here is that the next time we're back here, we probably will have visited another port, so we'll have another point of gratitude that we could trade in. The engineer appointed to you is accompanied by a trio of masked, spanner-carrying shades, his apprentices. He directs their work, but they learn very quickly. This seems to distress him. I've yet to find anything the dead can't do better, he confides. Oh. That's... okay. That is a little unsettling, I suppose. Alright. Back to the business of exploration. So the well is northwest. North-northwest, I think we were told. That could totally be it. And it looks like to get to the place that is east-northeast, we're going to have to go around anyway. Now we know a little bit about the Logoi and how to kill... what is that? Okay, it's angry, whatever it is. And you know what we do when things look like they might be angry. We shoot them many times with missiles from extremely far away. I think we got a little lucky with this one. It kind of got stuck on the terrain for a while. 4 direct hits. That is a good piece of information. What the hell was that? An Eater of the Dead. A rancid horror. with the elongated muzzle of a crocodile and the plumage of a peacock corpse, conjoined by a knot of bloated hippopotamus with many, many mournful eyes. The bane of the trespasser and the devourer of the dead. The powers of the Blue Kingdom tolerate them because they thin out the ranks of the unwanted dead. Well, we could extract its meat if that's the sort of thing that you would like to eat on purpose. We could search its maw. Its jaw gapes, exposing waterfalls of noxious drool. It may have eaten something valuable. You'll have to climb in to find out. Or we could claim a trophy. There are very few living who can say they've slain an eater of the dead. I would love a terror reduction, and I think we need that more than we need supplies. Now, you know what? We're going to be using our scout a lot here. With careful application of your cannery, you prize off the most succulent slabs of meat. Your crew shuttle them back to your engine. Now that the beast's bones are exposed, you can see that they are scored with correspondence. The sigils are fractured. Many of its still pulsing internal organs are twisted and deliquescent. This doesn't look like damage from your weapons. Was it made to be thus? Hey, was it made at all? Who can say how a thing like that comes to be? We do, I think, need to learn some more things about the westernmost king here. Okay, they don't seem to be terribly rare. Is it trying to eat that? Huh. That's weird. I mean, I guess maybe they just don't hold together very well. This time, let's try to claim a trophy. Oh, we failed. Okay, failure is your terror falls. That's good then. You go out with bonesaw and malice, and return with a clutch of bloody feathers, brilliant as the dawn, and an oozing eyeball, black as an opal and large as a boiler. A chorus of ragged cheers goes up. You have triumphed over something terrible, and now dead. Was it maybe just like hurling itself at the wall over and over again and like taking collision damage repeatedly? Maybe sometimes they just die. But they really don't seem to be very hardy. They're not built for long-term survival. You probably afford to send the scout out again. Okay, hey, that's some real good information right there. This Ratronaut is great. I had no doubt. That's a normal cantankery down there. I don't know that I care enough to turn around for that. Okay, well, I mean, if it's just going to come right to me, this is hardly even my fault. Yeah. If we're able to fight cantankery, that means that we do have a fairly easy source of terror reduction around here, which is good. Boy, what do you think? I'm gonna go this way. I am kind of curious what's at the center. Usually, the big important station is at the center. But with that being all the way over at the edge of the map... Oh dear. Maybe turn the light off and just sail away? Oh, that's something we can interact with, though. I mean, I do... Okay. We haven't actually been attacked by an Eater of the Dead. We don't necessarily need to be afraid of them. An enclave of the dead. These shades, some once human, some not, all masked and quiet, are performing the observances they hope will secure their passage through death's door. They pray around a pattern of stones arrayed in complex circles. Occasionally, one of them stands and moves a stone, provoking a fierce but silent and gesticulatory argument. When you approach, they stop. The laws of guest right require that they offer you respite. Okay. The crew are wary, but your hosts insistently press bowls of pale food into your hands. Probably this'll lower our terror, right? Let's find out. You tarry a while, waited on by the slow, courteous spirits of the dead. Their food is petrichor, the sweet spun-sugar confectionery eaten in the kingdom. The ruins are still and restful. You doze a while, and wake to porcelain masks watching over you. You now have one dining with the dead. That's a little worrying. I'm pretty sure it was going to notice me. I think that was a reasonable time to open fire. Ow! Okay, that wasn't that much damage. Okay, so they seem pretty if you can get them to commit their attack in the wrong direction, they just keep going. So not super dangerous. Hard to avoid at first, but not super dangerous. Let's just claim a trophy again. Oh no, success! Gained experience. Your crew are very taken with the idea until it comes to the practicalities. Inevitably, you find yourself out alone on the oozing back of the beast, bone saw in hand. Where to begin? A jagged yellow-black fang? An eye opal black and sad as a child's? Or a clutch of feathers, luminous and bright? You return to your engine to a chorus of cheers, a brace of bloody trophies in hand. Yeah, not exactly what I was looking for. Well, we found our way up to Nethermore, and it looks like this is, in fact, going where we need it to go. It's sort of like the Reach out here. Well, yep, that'll be the well. At least I hope that's the well. I hope there aren't multiple things in here that look like that. Okay. For real, throw a drop shadow on that text. A smattering of dark cottages at the White Well's edge. It is surrounded by endless rows of tumbled and broken statues, mere specks against the snow. Howling winds erupt from the frozen abyss, rattling roofs and chasing snow over mist-shrouded streets. Most of the silhouettes in the snow are statues, cracked and mutilated by age. A few are not statues, but gaunt women in mourning veils, who skitter suddenly into motion as you come near, and fall into silent line behind you. At the center of the village is a squat black cottage. Its walls throb. That's very unsettling. Everything about that is very unsettling. Alright, well, we're gonna get rid of this cat. This is where the last cat wanted to go. Oh hey, this is where we were supposed to bring those psalmists. We've had those guys on our train forever. Alright, let's start with this, though. Take Asmodee, the feline eccentric's angry Ginger Tom, to the edge of the well. There you can hear the furious shrieks of the failed dead trying to crawl out, and another deeper fury, one ancient and without end, skittering and numberless. Okay, spiders, of course. Well, remember that the failed dead is what we will become if we die attempting to seek eternal life. So, let's pay a lot of attention to what we see here, so that we will have lots of motivation not to become the thing that we are encountering. The Beast of the Pit. As you emerge from your engine and cross the ice, the feline eccentric looks across the well at the stern silhouette of the stone-faced court. She lowers her gaze, as if the sight of it pains her. "Hurry," she says, her voice tight. Asmodee pads to the lip of the well and peers curiously down into the dark. His ragged ears twitch at the shrieks from below. He settles down. His eyes are wide and round. His tail twitches. The eccentric touches your arm. You leave. Asmodee pays you no heed. This is where he was meant to be. I still have questions. I hadn't thought about it in a little while. But why was that one cat, the useless cat, why was that in the Well of the Wolf? Is the useless cat the same sort of thing that the feline eccentrics cats are? Like, should we be more worried about having it on board? Hold on. Can we just talk to her now? The unfelined eccentric? Her eyes are bright. She's been sleeping. She has been able to mingle with the crew without her cats intervening, or haunting her new friends with nightmares. As she works, she talks softly to the engine. Her voice is rhythmed, as if she was soothing an animal. You hunch near her, and pass her a wrench when she gropes for it. "I'm trying to decide what to do with myself," she tells you, still working. Apart from this, I mean. She sits back on her haunches. "On one hand, I could put it all behind me, start fresh. On the other," her eyebrows furrow, "fancy causing some trouble." Okay, that's a little bit more vague than I would like. So, we can encourage her to leave the past behind. She's been locked in a struggle with those damn cats for years. She deserves some peace and quiet. She may become a gentle eccentric, granting +10 hearts and +1 to the affiliations of villainy and academe. We'll have to spend a moment of inspiration, and there's a 70% chance we'll hit that. We can encourage her to misbehave, but in order to do that, yes, we can't do that because she was too gentle in removing the cats. That's fine. Or share an intimate moment when you offer to help her repair the engine. Normally, when she's like this, she closes off, wanting to focus on the work. But you've grown close. She'd accept your help. But the engine would have to be more damaged for that to be possible. I think we just take this roll here. I'm not sure what'll happen if we fail it. It really is the case that everybody on the train wants to have sex with me now, though, isn't it? She nods. I found a home here. It'd be good to enjoy it for a bit. Over the next few weeks, the crew come to know the unfeline eccentric. She is a calming, almost motherly presence, sensitive to the mood of the crew, and a sure, steady source of advice. She still sleeps in the engine room most times, and still talks to the engine when she's working on it. Everything is kept in impeccable order. Your locomotive practically purrs. Okay, so future captains will be able to recruit the gentle eccentric at Lustrum. Okay, so that's easy to access. And she's now +10 hearts. I don't think that we are going to equip her. We need the 10 iron from the judicious driver. But it's nice to be helping people wrap up their stories. So we still have to work with you two. I remember that he wanted to go to the Forge of Souls. I don't remember where we were supposed to take... Okay, Death's Door. Alright, and the Forge of Souls is the place that is east-northeast of Skybarnet? Yep, okay. Alright, back to working at the Wellmouth. Interesting, there's no shops here. One of our prospects. This must not be the place that we're supposed to interact with. Okay. Well, we do still have business here, though. Let us speak to these widows. These cadaverous figures are known as the Widows of the Well, or Widows at the Well. Their role is to inter the failed dead. You've attracted a half-circle of veiled observers by now. They respond to your questions with whispers and hiss among themselves. "You're in the wrong place," says one of them finally, stepping a little too close. She points to where the lights of Erd twinkle on the other side of the well. "The stone-faced court is there." "Grandmother will know you're here by now," says another of the widows. "If you intend to stay, you must meet with her. Else, fly away at once." Grandmother. Grandmother's going to be a huge spider, right? A huge, terrifying spider. Okay, I'm not afraid of spiders, he said, foolishly. Seek out the matronly relict's approval. She squats in the black cottage at the village's heart. Its walls bulge and pulsate oddly. I do have questions about that whole thing. The relict is an old woman of colossal stature, as tall and broad as a wagon, her face such a mass of wrinkles that her figures are almost entirely lost. She shuffles aside and gestures silently to an armchair beside a roaring fire. You ignore the insistent skitter-scratching coming from inside the walls, and you enter her parlor. Yep, they use the word parlor. Hera remains unchanged at 17. Why does it keep telling me that? That's a little weird. The relict collapses into an armchair opposite you, taking up her needles. Yeah, of course she spins. They clicker and clack, knitting together black threads that outstretch from the walls and ceiling and floor. One of the widows pours you a warmish tea, then kneels at the relict's side with her head bowed. So we could request permission to hang out here. Certain actions are only available to characters with the antedeceased status. I wonder if we could only access the bazaar to turn in our thing if we were antedeceased. Let's see what she has to say about just a question here. You know, maybe she'll just let us be. "You are invisible," mutters the kneeling widow. "You are not permitted here. You are not permitted anywhere." Okay, what status would she find acceptable? The widow averts her gaze from yours, but she answers your question. "Grandmother prefers the living to the dead. She will extend guest rights to the antedeceased." Okay, easy enough. Can't help but notice that the matronly relic is not interested in speaking to us herself. Alright, let's deposit these people who are getting involved in a fistfight in New Winchester. What must have been actual in-game years ago, right? The twice-scorned priest and his flock have traveled a long, long way from New Winchester. Your crew can't wait to be rid of them. The psalmists emerge from your train, pulling coats tight against the wind. They form a bleak, snow-battered huddle. A few hurry to fetch the wood and tools they brought. Soon they've laid the foundations for a church. Wow, that was fast. We can manage our own affairs for a while, the twice-scorned priest tells you. His nose and ears are already bitter red from the cold. Take these maps. We don't need them anymore. The church should be finished in 2 weeks. Visit us then. 2 weeks. Wow, that's very aggressive. As you leave, you notice a line of widows assembled in the distance, watching wordlessly. Yeah, I'd be a little worried about that if I were them, but okay. Hey, listen, they're off my train. They're no longer my problem. I'm done worrying about them. A steady supply of immortals and quasi-immortals trickles from the stone-faced court. One is being dragged toward the edge now. Ooh. The failed dead is a cadaverous figure in a three-piece suit, his skin tattooed with phrases in Sanskrit. The widows are dragging him to the edge of the well atop a rickety cart. Though shackled in heavy iron, he thrashes and writhes like a snake on hot coals. "I can give you power!" he shouts, voice carrying even above the wind. The widow's wagon nears the edge. "Wealth! Secrets! Feasts! Favors! I've lived 1,000 years! I am owed debts by gods! What do you want?" I somehow managed to completely mispronounce the word debts. The widows titter beneath their veils and tip him unceremoniously into the abyss. Okay, very important that we don't get caught in our ambition here. They seem to take this dying thing pretty seriously. Alright, I think we're done here for the moment. Let's head over to the... I've already forgotten the name of it. House of Stone? Court of Stone. Some kind of thing of stone. And let's not stare too deeply into the well. Can't guarantee that it won't stare back. So when they said the other side, did they mean like right over here, or did they mean that thing the Ratronaut has revealed? Probably the latter. It was kind of a pain to get him, and it's kind of a pain to keep him active, but man, he is worth it. The conductor has a suggestion. Why don't we just leave your aunt? The rest is lost under the barrage of her handbag. Okay, the stone-faced court. Something out there is angry, and we'll deal with it in a little while. Half ziggurat, half fortress, the court is where spirits go to face judgment before they meet their end. A meek little city has sprung up around it, almost by default. Erd is a quietly frostbitten city that clings like a scab to the White Well. Is this... Okay, this is where we can turn this in. The well winds howl as a cloaked conclave of spearfers approach your engine. These unlicensed soul traders are unwelcome in the kingdom, and use thick layers of stained glass to hide what goes on in their locomotives from the Sapphired King and his servants. Satisfied you have comprehensively fulfilled their requirements, the chief spearfer slides you a roll of paper. A chart detailing hidden routes through the sky. Does that work? Does stained glass make it impossible for the Sapphired King and his servants to see what's going on? Because that's information we could use. We certainly have enough stained glass. Also, they're selling souls, sure. Spearfers, traders in unlicensed souls, flock to the Blue Kingdom. Is it just the temptation of its sealed stores of souls and hapless, exploitable spirits? Or are they drawn to it like pilgrims at Christmas or sparrows in summer? This spearfer is selling her recent bounty in order to raise capital for a secretive new venture. Okay. The Rag and Bone. So we can draw... Okay, we can buy petrichor and fuel here, which is nice. Let's set foot in the city of Erd. Masked dead wander its ice-sheathed streets, going wherever dead people go. A statue crumbles on every corner, subjecting passers-by to forbidding stone glares. At Erd's center looms the stone-faced court, where the dead are judged. A ziggurat wide as a mountain, as tall as a stack of castles. Erd's population are mostly waiting for permission to enter. Okay, well, I guess I am also waiting for permission to enter. A queue of thousands of masked spirits stretches out from the gates and winds up and down a dozen streets, through buildings and over rooftops. Most of the population of Erd, it seems, are holding a place in the tangled queue. You see spirits departing and rejoining, silently tapping each other in and out. No one pushes, no one cuts in. An unfathomable etiquette is at work. When you ask a spirit near the front how long they've been waiting, they just shrug. Well, that's not great. Never mind, apparently I'm not entering the stone-faced court anytime soon. But by filling out some paperwork and providing insurmountable proof of your soul's good character, you could skip to the front of the queue. Or, as a guest, you can skip the queue if you brought a gift, 3 casks of gemstones. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure we only have 2 casks of gemstones in the bank. We might have to go back to Piranesi after all. Okay, never mind. Apparently I will not be getting my status anytime soon. So, let's just buy ourselves some food and fuel. The petrichor does not convert directly into supplies. That's a little worrying. We might have to go back if we can't find a place to buy food. You know what? That sounds like a concern for tomorrow, because that hour has just flown by. Wow. I guess that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Come back next time to see if we get blown out of the sky by a giant flaming word. And we'll see you then.